Good morning. This is Sherry Rothwell, and I am here this morning to chat with you about the first key to successful weight loss. So if you are just joining me and you've never heard of me, mosquito. Like I said, my name is Sherry Rothwell, and I run a program called the Delish Diet. As you can see here is the front cover of the book that I'm currently writing on how I lost 12 dress sizes without giving up the rich, creamy, sweet comfort foods I love and eating more fat than ever. So in today's live stream, and I'm going to be doing these every single week, 5 days a week at 8 a.m. I'm kind of thinking maybe 8:30, but I'm not sure. We'll see. 8 or 8:30, but for this week, right now, today, it's 8 a.m. And basically this show, the Delish Diet Daily show, is to keep you inspired and educated and motivated to continue doing the work that is required to let go of the weight, whether that's physical weight or emotional weight. In fact, there's a group that's associated with this page, the Delish Diet page, which is a new page. It's called the Weightless Group, Drop More Than Just the Weight. It's for those of you who are interested in going into other aspects of using your journey or your intention to lose weight as a journey for growing yourself and letting go of not just the physical weight, but the emotional weight as well, because there is a connection between our physical and emotional weight, because one of the major drivers of weight gain is stress. And of course, it's all of that emotional baggage and undealt with traumas and negative experiences that we haven't actually processed, and we're actually facing on a chronic basis that are keeping us overweight. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure that you, if you're watching this broadcast on a different page, you need to click into the link below where it says Delish Diet and come over here to the Delish Diet page and like it and join our group. So in these live streams here that I'm doing in the mornings for the Delish Diet Daily, this is all about the physical aspect of losing weight. So the diet, the detox, and the lifestyle. But if you want to if you're more of a deep person and you want to go into the other stuff, then make sure you join the Weightless group. All right. So in the first video that I recorded yesterday, I explained to you the 4 keys to losing weight successfully. And basically what any diet that's worth its shirt must include. And those 4 I covered sort of broad in that first video. Now for the rest of the week, I'm going to cover each key in its own video more in depth. So today we're talking about natural. That in order to know that you're on something that is going to allow you to be successful in losing the weight, it has to be natural. Now, can you get success by doing things that are not natural? Yes, you can. However, that success is most often short-lived, as you can see from most, maybe the experience that you've had dieting or, watching other people diet. What you'll notice is that people, embark on eating plans, and while they're doing them, they work. But people stop doing them, then they're not working, or they just work for a certain amount of time. Now, a lot of times we stop actually doing them because they're not sustainable, right? We're going to be talking more about that as we go on. Anything that's against your nature is not going to be sustainable, which is one of the reasons why the diet that you choose needs to be natural. Now, what do I mean by natural? I mean it in a couple ways. One is, what is the natural diet of a human being? Okay, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, okay, so if we're going to eat the natural foods of a human being, are they actually natural? Are we eating them in their natural state? Okay, because, we can eat, we could say, well, seeds or seed oils are natural to the human diet. But if we're eating a seed like, for example, canola oil, that is been modified and hybridized to eliminate a certain component in it that is toxic to humans. Okay, so let me give you the background on that. I'm just going to say right now, so hopefully you keep listening to this, canola oil is not natural and it's not for human consumption. Yet all of these so-called health organizations, which are really just disease organizations, are telling you that canola oil is super healthy for you and it's the best oil that you could have. And it's recommended for just general nutritional, as a foundation of the basis of the fats in your diet, and also as the oil that's recommended for a healthy heart. Now, let me ask you this. I like to question how things are processed and how things are changed and their impact on our health, or whether, you know, the very context of how they're used could tell us whether or not that food is actually healthy for us. So canola oil is not found in nature the way that it's brought to you. Canola oil is actually from a plant called rapeseed. Okay, so it's actually rapeseed oil. Rapeseed is toxic to humans. And so rapeseed has had to be transformed, the toxic aspect that is naturally found in rapeseed, meaning toxic to humans. So obviously, likely not meant for human consumption, number one, and number two, not meant for human consumption or any consumption in copious amounts, the way we utilize it in North America. So this toxic element was removed from canola, and at first they called rapeseed. So this is canola is rapeseed, which is toxic to humans. They took that chemical out of it. It's a natural chemical, but there are lots of things that are in plants that are natural, that are not natural to humans for human consumption. So that's why I'm making these distinctions between natural. So they took out that chemical that was difficult for humans and toxic to them. And then they called it Canada oil. Okay. So it was rapeseed. Now it's changed, called canola oil, or Canadian oil. And then they mixed that together, Canadian oil to canola oil as the brand name. Okay. So that is an example of something that you might be eating that is natural, but not natural to humans as part of our diet. So there's a lot of different things that are like that people eat that they believe are healthy for them. And there's a lot of marketing that goes into our diet that basically convinces us of what's healthy and what's not healthy. And things considered health foods. And to me, I think of it very simply. I break it down into, is this something humans can find in nature or could grow themselves? Okay, does it come off a tree, out of the ground? Or is it something that requires industrialized processing? So anything that falls on the line of requires industrialized processing is not that natural, right? Now, there are some things that are, they require industrial processing that are, not as bad as other things, right? There's a whole wide spectrum here. Okay. So when I'm working with clients, I don't, make them day one become a purist and avoid all things and have to grow their own garden or whatever. It's not that extreme. People can make simple shifts in the direction of eating more and more naturally. Now, if you want faster, better results, then you need to make bigger shifts. If you don't mind your transformation happening slower, then you don't make as extreme of shifts. And that's, to each person's decision. However, you do need to know these things, right? How many people just don't know that canola oil is rapeseed oil. It's from the rapeseed plant. Okay. So when you're looking inside your kitchen and you go into the cupboards and you look at what you're eating, pretty much anything that comes in a box or a package, there's a good chance that that could be made up of not only very processed, industrialized so-called foods, I call them food products, but then a whole entire list of ingredients of things that you don't recognize. To me, that is not natural. Okay. And those additional ingredients, many of them are additives. They're there to preserve the food or to, prevent something from happening to the food. For example, there are chemicals that are added to your table salt to make sure that it doesn't stick together. Okay. So these things are all there for the industrial food, industry, right? Because if you have food that is very close to nature, natural food, well, it, can absorb moisture and mold. It will not be a uniform product, right? And that's one of the things we've been brainwashed to believe, is that things need to be homogenous. Everything needs to look exactly the same and be perfect for it to be something that we eat, right? Whereas in nature, if you went to an apple tree and you took the apples off of it that you have in your yard, you'll see that there's a lot of variation of how apples look, and some are pretty and some are not. But that doesn't mean the ones that aren't pretty aren't nutritious, right? So our entire food industry has, a lot of us have been born into that. We were born into, a household where we open the cupboards and it's full of all these processed foods. And we just think that's food, right? I remember when I was in my early 20s and I was walking around Safeway, and I had this realization. I was like, wow, like if Safeway didn't exist, I would starve. Like, not only did I not know how to cook, I would have no idea, where to get food from. At this point, I'm like 19 or 20 years old, and I'm like buying food where I'm seeing on the box, it says add hot water. And that's like the repertoire of the foods I'm buying at this point in my life, because I don't know how to cook and I have no consciousness of the food system, human nutrition, or anything like that. Okay. I just didn't know. So you can't do any better than you know. But of course, we get things happen to us in life as opportunities for learning and growth. So for me, I got really sick in my early 20s, and I had to learn how to become healthy. So that was a gift to me. For a lot of people, that's how they come to learning about natural whole foods, is they get forced to. But once you have a consciousness of this, not everybody has to get sick. You might be watching this right now, and you're already at a higher level of awareness about this, but there's always, higher levels to go. I have, a ton more to learn about the food system, the industrialized food system. And there's like a lot of complexities to it. However, we don't want to make this more complex. We want to simplify and distill it down. So if you just really think about it, when you're putting food in your mouth, is it natural? Did it grow on a tree, come out of a garden? Or did somebody else grow it in a garden, or it came off of a tree and they picked it for me? Versus a box of food that is processed and has a whole bunch of additives in it. Now, you might just think that this is a values issue, right? Like, that's my personal value. I don't want to invest my money in that. And I don't, I don't like that. So therefore, I think it's bad. And there's a lot of people out there who don't have a natural, how do you say it? It's like I'm like skeptical about the food industry. Okay. I am more open to the idea of things that are natural. Okay. Now, there's some people who have the opposite experience. They're very skeptical about the words natural, organic, etc. Okay. And they're more like laissez-faire about processing and adding additives to our food and eating foods with chemicals on them. Okay. And to each his own. But let's just look at the impact on, how it impacts everything, right? Like when I choose to purchase foods that I know that are, rainforests are being, chopped down. Okay. So if I go buy a whole bunch of processed food, the palm oil in that food, when I put my money towards that, okay, this is going to now be a food politics live stream. But anyways, this is really important for the weight loss part of it. I'm going to explain why in a second with the toxicity. But one of the things that is really key to making a change in your life is you have to actually acknowledge the negative of something, and you can actually use it to your benefit to motivate you. So if you're not motivated by, protecting yourself, your own body from chemicals, maybe you're an animal lover, and you can look at this aspect of it so that you choose not to eat these heavily processed or industrialized foods for the well-being of the planet or animals, etc. Right? Because when you eat the palm oil that comes in all these processed foods, you're literally giving money to people to tear down rainforests, and in the process displace orangutans or even kill them because they get caught up in the destruction, right? When we purchase meat from factory farms where animals don't see the light of day, like chickens that are supposedly free range, but there's like a little door, and the chicken is 20 feet from the door and there's so many chickens in front of it, it would never ever get out. But these food processors can actually promote their food as being free range because the door was there. Okay, so you need to look at these things to help motivate yourself to do what's the right thing, right? Because every choice that we make has an impact, not just on ourselves, but like I said, on the environment, on, other animals, other beings, right? So, when we buy food that is sprayed with chemicals, who is spraying those vegetables or fruit with chemicals? And who's picking them with the chemicals on it? People. Okay. So you might just, display, keep it separate, but those are real people. Those choices that we make, we're funding an industry that's harming people, the environment, and our health. So it's very important to actually, as a strategy, to motivate yourself to eat natural foods, which will help you lose weight. We'll talk about that in a second. To learn about this stuff, there's many books that you can go and get at the library, the bookstore, on food politics and understanding the industry and understanding additives and understanding pesticides and insecticides that are being sprayed on our food. There's documentaries you could watch. Okay? You'll learn your way to increase your standards, like raise your standards around food. Okay? What you're willing to fund, what you're willing to put in your body. Okay? Many years ago, I think it was like 15, maybe even 20 years ago, I read a book on food additives. Like the whole entire book was just on food additives from the beginning to the end and their impact on our health and like children's learning disorders and all sorts of different things. After I read that, I mean, I just changed, right? Like I no longer went to the grocery store and bought things with additives where I couldn't know without going on the internet to search to know what that chemical is. Okay. If you want to help yourself to do that, there's the environmental working group, www.ewg.org, where you can go and type in those additives and find out, are they known carcinogens? Do they have reproductive toxicity, etc.? Okay. So that is using the negative to actually motivate you. Just like if you wanted to stop smoking, you would research the impact of smoking on your health. That's actually a smart thing to do. If you've already made a decision about something to change, that will empower you. Now, if you haven't made a decision yet to change, then it'll just, reinforce fear while you're doing something and, make it probably worse for you, right? Because our mind has a big impact on our health and how we relate to things. Okay. But this is an essential aspect of losing weight. Okay. So in many ways, once we're aware of this stuff, this is an emotional weight that you can lose, right? The emotional weight of knowing that maybe some of the choices that you're making in life are not just harmful to yourself, maybe they're harmful to others or to your children, right? That's one of the benefits of being a mother, is that we are extra motivated to, consider what we put in our bodies or in our children to protect them. That's a mother's instinct. Okay. But on an actual physiological level, now not thinking about the external world, but thinking about how foods that are not natural affect us, the impact of consuming chemicals, things that humans weren't meant to eat, they have no purpose. They're not going to build our body. Okay, they're not nutrients, they're chemicals. So our body has this burden of having to process a chemical and eliminate it from the body to keep you healthy. Most people are struggling to be able to eliminate those chemicals. And again, it comes down to whether or not they're eating a natural diet. Okay, so if you're eating a diet of processed whole foods, what it means is, or processed, not whole foods, processed foods, those foods, the nutrients have been removed in the processing and the refining, right? So all these nutrients that you were meant to be getting every single meal of every day of your life have not been there. So you're becoming more and more depleted nutritionally. Okay, when you're depleted nutritionally because the foods you're eating are not the ones that nature intended, not only is that going to have an impact on your hormonal system, okay, and that's one of the reasons why people cannot lose weight, is because their hormones are not functioning optimally, and they have a deficiency of the nutrients that would provide for optimal hormonal expression. Okay. Number two, that's your entire metabolism, right? Your metabolism it's all of your regulating that's happening in your body, connected to your liver. Okay, your liver it regulates your hormones. One of those is your thyroid hormone. Okay, we all know that if we have hormonal imbalances or a low thyroid, we are going to have a slow metabolism, and we are not going to be able to lose weight. We're going to continually gain weight. And now that organ that's regulating is your liver. Your liver requires nutrition, vitamins, minerals, protein to do the work of detoxifying these chemicals. And if your liver is undernourished because you're not eating a whole foods diet, you're eating a lot of processed foods, it's going to be getting backlogged on that detoxification, which leads to all of these health problems in the body, many of them which cause weight gain. Okay, your liver is also involved in the regulation of your blood sugar. Okay, your liver is this amazing organ that does so many different things in your body. And if it's not nourished properly, or if it's overburdened by toxins, then it's not going to do its jobs properly. It's going to be backed up, and you're going to have symptoms of liver sluggishness. One of them being weight gain, slow metabolism, everything. I mean, your liver, it assembles proteins. Okay, so you could have muscle wasting. I mean, there's so many different things. And of course, muscle wasting, less muscle, less testosterone, lower metabolism, right? Higher cortisol, lower testosterone. It's all connected. And, we could get really complicated about nutrition, which is what a lot of diets out there are doing with, focusing on those macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fat in a numerical way, in a mathematical way, instead of actually looking at quality. Okay. Quantity is something that I do work with in my programs and working with private clients, but we never will look at that until we have established the groundwork, the foundation, which is a diet of natural foods. Okay. So quality is where you want to put your focus first. Don't even go into quantity until you've established quality. Okay, so What you need to do is go into your kitchen, open the cupboards, and be a researcher. Look at what you're eating. Is that what you're eating? Is that the natural diet of a human being? Okay. Many people who are not super out of balance, they're slightly out of balance. Okay. All they have to do is do that. Literally just switch from the standard North American diet to a whole foods diet, and that last 15 pounds gone. Okay. If that's you, you don't even need to take my course. Just do what I said in this video. Let's talk in 6 weeks. Okay. 6 months. And you're just going to be slowly losing that weight without having to try, right? Because your body is getting back into balance. It's getting into a state of health. The natural result of health is a natural weight for you, a healthy weight, healthy diet, healthy weight. Okay. Of course, there are people who are on a so-called healthy diet, like I was, right? Remember, if you don't know me, if this is the first time you've watched one of my live streams, I used to be 176 pounds eating a whole foods, primarily vegetarian diet. Didn't make a lot of sense, does it? It has to do with insulin resistance, high cortisol, and hormonal imbalance. Those are 3 things that come together when women are going through a lot of stress in their life that will cause you to gain weight. So, if that's your situation, you'll need to go further than just making that shift from a standard North American diet to a whole foods diet. But everyone needs to make that transition if you want to have optimal health. So whether you want to lose weight or not, or how much weight you have to lose, that's where you start. Okay? So in my program, the Delish Diet, and in my coaching services for my private clients, that's one of the first steps that we make. And in the e-course, I have an entire module dedicated to how to revamp your kitchen. So I walk you through different products, just like I talked about canola oil today. I go through all of the different foods that are in your kitchen and show you how to upgrade them. Okay. And I want you to know that I'm actually quite a moderate person. I don't believe that, you have to eat super strict, okay, to maintain your health or your weight. It's going to be different for everyone, how strict you have to be and where you're at in your journey and how much balance your body has attained, right? The more balance you have, the more leeway you have to be moderate. The less balance that you have and the more extreme issues you have, the more extreme you're going to have to be about your diet, right? Even moderation needs to be in moderation. But here's how I do it, okay? I don't bring foods into my home that don't meet my personal standards, my personal values, based on what I know. I can't unknow about orangutans being killed, okay? So I'm not going to buy palm oil unless it's from a company that is certified to be actually protecting the orangutans. And you can't find that in processed food, right? You'd have to go to an organic food store to get palm oil like that. To be honest with you, I rarely buy it anyways. It's not, you could just use coconut oil or, butter. So it's kind of an obscure thing. And it happens to be orange, but it is high in beta carotene, right? So I don't bring those foods that are processed in any way, shape, or form into my home. So when I go to make food, everything is natural. So I don't really have to think about this. I'm not constantly looking to see if I'm eating natural or not, right? It's just, I just go to the grocery store and only buy things that are found in nature. Now, when I go to a restaurant or if I go to somebody else's house, okay, then I just eat what is there based on my personal preferences in that moment or what's offered to me. You don't have to be super extreme about this in that sense of, you don't have to bring food to a restaurant while you're eating with your friends or, bring food to a family gathering. You just do it's basically the 80-20 rule, right? That's how you'll actually implement the 80-20 rule is if you make a decision that the only foods that go in your kitchen are natural foods. Okay. So these are perishables essentially. Okay. What are natural foods? It's so simple. Okay. It is so simple. Natural foods are beans, lentils, rice, grains. Okay. Your fats like olive oil, coconut oil, butter, lard if you can get it from a grass-fed animal. There's nothing wrong with saturated fat. That should be another, live stream that'll be coming up. These are natural foods, okay? Meat, vegetables, dairy, nuts and seeds, weeds, herbs, okay? It's not complicated. We complicate nutrition so much. And like I said in the past video, our knowledge of nutrition is pretty juvenile at this point, okay? Because we haven't actually put a lot of research into nutrition, because it's not something that can be like heavily you're not going to make a huge profit on actually solving people's health issues, right? Our system is actually set up to it's a disease-based system based on diagnosing diseases based on symptoms and providing two options, right? When you go to the doctor, you get two options, unless you have a doctor that's holistically minded. And even then, depending on what country you live in, that doctor may or may not be allowed to recommend certain things, right? Because there's protocols. So, but the things, when you go to the doctor, there's three things on the menu. There's a diagnosis, okay? Drugs or surgery, right? It's not diet. Diet is not the focus. So we've put all this energy into understanding disease and how to stop the symptoms of disease. So what there is to actually know about nutrition, we're probably just, seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. Hopefully these things will change, because so many more people, as much as there's this negative stuff going on in the world, there's a lot of people who are super passionate about this, right? And there's a lot of medical doctors who are super passionate about nutrition. And, you'll see their work out there, right? Like, for example, Dr. Joseph Mercola, or Dr. Gundry, forgetting his first name. He's the author of The Plant Paradox. Okay, and there's many more people who are doctors, researchers, scientists are super passionate about this subject. But unfortunately, a lot of them have to get all of their own funding if they want to do research. Hopefully that will continue to change. So why don't we just keep it really simple? Why don't we just eat a natural whole foods diet and consider that the very first step and the number one key to being successful with weight loss? Because everything that I just shared with you today, if you embrace that, if you choose to do the research on these subjects and utilize that negative aspect to motivate you to stick with your decision to eat natural foods, then that is something that has shifted inside of you. You can't unknow what you already know. So now you're not going to have to use willpower to stop yourself from buying things just for the purpose of thinking, oh, well, this is going to make me fat, or, oh, there's sugar in here. Oh, da, da. It's like, no, honestly, I don't want to provide this company. I don't want to give them my money. I want to give a company that's more conscious my money. Okay. And there's different lateral steps you can take, right? Maybe there's something that you just can't imagine giving up right now. Well, what's a better version of that? Could you go to the organic food store and get an organic version of that processed food? Because let's face it, organic food stores are full of processed food as well. But because they're organic, there's going to be less chemicals and additives in it. Okay, so at least it's a step up. But pretty much everything that you possibly could want, you could make a Whole Foods homemade version of it. So there's really no reason to believe that giving up or having higher standards around food and living into those values and standing by them and taking a stand, that does not have to be difficult. It doesn't have to mean that you have to eat a boring diet. Okay, like everything can be made in a healthier way. Okay. But if you just keep it to, let's take some action steps. I'm going to finish up this live stream. Let's turn it into some action steps. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is make a decision right now that you are going to study food politics. Okay. To some degree, go get a book on the food industry. Michael Pollan's books are good. I think, is it called The Future of Food? I'm forgetting. Food Inc. There we go. There's a documentary you can watch if you don't like to read. So make a study of this to some degree, for not just for yourself, but so that you can conscientiously make decisions that you know are better for your health, your children's health, for the environment, and for the animals in that environment. The next thing is to go through your cupboards and look at everything. Anything that's processed and full of additives, you want to eliminate. You don't have to eat it or give it away. You can put it in the compost. Okay. And now the next time you go to the grocery store, put in your shopping cart natural whole foods. Give yourself some leeway. If there's some things you're not ready to give up, just make them better quality or find a homemade recipe. All you have to do is Google homemade version of fill in the blank, whatever it is that you can't imagine living without right now. Very simple. The next thing to do would be to consider going organic. Okay, so go on www.ewg.org, the Environmental Working Group, and there's a list of 12 clean and, or the dirty dozen, sorry, it's 12 fruits and vegetables that are more highly sprayed than the rest, more toxic. And then then they'll also give you a list of the 15 clean. So then at least if you feel like you're not ready to make that switch for financial reasons, then you can just go, prioritize the stuff that is extra dirty and buy organic versions of those things, or just don't eat them. Okay. That's another option. And of course, your animal products, you want to, whenever possible, get pastured eggs, chicken, and animal foods, or, get a hold of wild meat if you can, or just eat less. Okay. Because a lot of people, their major concern about switching to organic animal products is the expense. And here's how I look at it. In the Delish diet, we consider meat a condiment. We don't eat large amounts of meat, but we do include it. So if you eat this way, if you eat less meat, you could spend the same amount of on meat that you're spending now, but buy it pastured, okay? And then you will not be supporting industry that is harming animals, okay? Or that's putting, or those animals are eating foods that are not meant, that's not their natural diet. They're not living in their natural habitat, so they're not that happy. The quality of the milk and the meat changes based on what those animals eat. I mean, there's so many things to consider here. However, if you just choose better quality, but eat less, that's overall better, right? Because for most people, they actually eat too much meat anyways. So eat less of better quality, spend the same amount of money. That's going to actually be great for your health, okay? Keep everything in your kitchen, natural whole foods. Give yourself the leeway when you go out to a friend's house or out for dinner to not put this pressure on yourself, okay? To just be present with what is. Something comes to your table, you don't, you know too much about it. Don't be infusing that food with negativity. Just pray over it. Whatever you have to do, be grateful, have gratitude, and just enjoy it, okay? Very simple changes that can literally change the quality of every single meal you eat forevermore moving forward. Think of how much more nutrition is going to be coming into your body with these simple shifts, and how much less toxicity is going to be coming in. And the net effect of that is a healthy, optimally functioning liver that will regulate your hormones properly, your thyroid, okay, your blood sugar, and bring your body into balance. And then you just lose weight without focusing on losing weight, without counting anything, okay? And without obsessing. You've just made some decisions, you've switched some behaviors, and now automatically you're just naturally doing the best thing for yourself, for your planet, and for the animals on this planet. All right. So I hope that has served. please feel free to message me if you want to chat more about the Delish Diet and how you can get support to further implement the next steps of the program, or even this step, right? Because I know sometimes it's like, you know what to do, but you kind of need a handhold to do it. If you're one of those people and you feel like, oh, I know I should be doing this, but I probably won't unless somebody's guiding me step by step, I do have an e-course and a group coaching program and private consulting services. So message me if you want to chat about that. And also moving forward this week, we are going to continue on looking at the 4 keys to successful weight loss. So we've done natural, and tomorrow we're doing sustainable, I believe. Sustainable, that's right, we're doing sustainable. All right, so thank you for joining me. Please share this video with anyone who you feel could benefit from it. And I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Bye for now.